Hey Javier, help me understand this. I recently found the house that I really like for $485,000, and even though my agent recommended I offer list price and closing cost, I ended up doing some research and I found some other houses that sold that are very similar. That one sold for $465,000 that is nicer than this house, and another one was about $455,000. This one had a bigger yard than the one I'm looking at, but I would say the condition is about the same. So I trusted in my gut and I made an offer for $450,000. And now the seller and the listing agent and everybody is just pissed off at me. They said they were really insulted with my offer and they are not going to consider it at this time. Now I know this house only has about 1 or 2 weeks in the market, but I'm just really concerned I just ruined my chances to buy a house. Please let me know, should I just follow my realtor's advice or what's going on here? Wow. So I know it feels like you made a bad choice and it feels like you're in the wrong here, but there's something really important here that you have to know. You trusted your gut, you took a chance, and yeah, unfortunately it didn't land or go your way, but you shouldn't second guess yourself now because you stumbled on exactly the issue with the current housing market. Why the prices haven't dropped, why we haven't seen any massive shifts favored towards buyers' favors is exactly what you stumbled on. Let me explain what that is now. So essentially, let's just get a visual to this. First off, I want to just give you some kudos. Here's a few things that you did right. You did some comps, dude. You got some market research done on the house before you even thought about making an offer. This is such a valuable thing that you need to do. And quite frankly, shame on whoever's helping you for just telling you, hey, I make this offer. They're thinking about their commission first a lot of times. And because they're thinking about the commission, they're just saying, what do we need to do to get this person under contract? Where instead of doing that, you're like, no, let's look at the market. Let's look at the comps. What is this house worth? I like this house, but I don't want to overspend for it. Right? So that was really good for you to do that, and I give you some kudos. You trusted your gut. Always trust your gut. At the end of the day, we're not going to be master market, amazing Michael Burrys out here. But one thing that we all have is we have our gut, and mine's is rather larger than unfortunately it's ever been, but maybe yours is fine. But either way, no matter how large or small it is, you always want to trust it because there's this instinct that tells us, am I getting taken advantage of right now? And whatever you want to call it, you followed it, and it worked out great in your favor. So just some good things to note first. So $485,000, it was listed 1 or 2 weeks ago. This one's pretty damning. Like if there is a house that was better than the one you're looking at and it sold for $465,000, first of all, sorry for the bump, I would do some additional research on this. I would say, hey, was there any seller closing costs? Like, did they give any seller concessions on this one? Because maybe it was $465,000, but they gave like $20,000 of closing costs or concessions towards the buyer to help pay the rates down. Maybe something happened, or maybe the seller was in a desperate situation. Either way, it doesn't really matter because now this is a comp, and when an appraisal pulls up the properties when they're comping out this house, like if you buy it with the loan, they're going to be looking at the 465 number. They're not going to really put too much emphasis on this, but still, get a little more information, get a little more knowledge on this one. This one that sold for $455,000, I mean, yeah, that one's also pretty damning as well. But once again, I would look into that seller closing cost situation and say, hey, how much was actually spent here? So overall, I think you pricing it at $450K, which I think you said 455 one was had a bigger yard or something. Either way, you pricing it at $450K is actually pretty good. First and foremost, there's really 3 ways to price a house. Okay, this is dead on market value, right? The 3 strategies are, hey, let's price it higher than what it's worth so we have wiggle room. Okay, this is what a majority of sellers do. Some people say, hey, this is the market value. Let's price exactly at market value and let's stay firm and stubborn. And very rarely do sellers actually post lower than what it's worth so they can create an auction-like environment, or at least they hope they create an auction-like environment where they get multiple offers that push that value up or even higher. During the COVID days, they were all here because everybody was just so in high demand of a house. So that's the seller strategy. But for you, you want to first identify what that market value is. Once you identify that market value, you can determine, well, where did they price it? Well, the seller actually priced it a little bit higher than what I think is worth. So they're a little bit higher than the actual value. they're probably doing that strategy where they have some wiggle room. Or maybe there's a second option, they're just loco. But either way, once you identify what that fair market value, it is in my opinion as a home buyer, you should do your best to offer below that. You should do your best to try to shield yourself from any potential price reductions, because yes, we can all hope for the best and we can all say, hey, well, the market values basically since 2010, they went up, 2022, they went down. And then like from like mid or early 2023, they've just been steadily going up in some areas. And we'd love to hope that they're going to continue to go up forever and we're all going to make a bunch of money. But the reality of the situation is this can't last forever, right? There's going to be a tipping point where eventually it's just going to kind of slow down and start going down. And maybe my hope is that it kind of stays flat. Some people think it's just going to go, whatever your opinion is, I believe we're at least going to be somewhere here, right? Somewhere in this range. If you're buying here and you're buying top or even higher than what it's actually worth, then there's just that risk. Even if you're living in your house for an extended period of time, there's that risk of if it does go down or if it does go down massively, you're going to be put yourself in a higher position. So by buying it cheaper, you're really shielding yourself. And I think these sellers need to understand that, if you're going to sell it to a buyer who's going to take the risk on the market because they've already gotten equity, they've already had good luck, they should understand that, hey, the buyer's taking a risk buying my house. They're doing me a favor. Let's cut them some slack a lot lower on the price. So you identified that the house value is probably about 450, 455K. And you actually were pretty generous with that offer. You gave them 450, which is right in the midpoint. That's actually pretty good. I would even argue even lower, probably just to shield yourself, but who knows, maybe it's a really good area. I'm not too familiar with the city and state, and I don't want to disclose your city and state because, I don't want someone to go snatch that house from you. But I'm hoping that this is a good area, and then, the houses are doing pretty good. It's just this one crazy situation where the seller went too high or something like that. If the seller is truly priced here, then, dude, you did the right thing. I think a lot of sellers are going to be trying this strategy where they price higher, and they're hoping is, maybe I'll take a little bit off the price, right? I don't have to go that low. They're living in la la land. And the best thing we can do as home buyers right now is buy under market value. And the second is don't get attached. I think you guys know how much I hate investors in this channel, real estate investors. So if you're in a real estate investor, don't at me, please. Don't message me. I always get them all the time. Hey, why are you always talking crap about wholesalers? Because you guys are the scum of the earth, and you guys ruin the housing market. The big thing here is what investors do that you should learn from is they'll make lowball offers. They're just crazy. They'll just make a lowball offers with no embarrassment. They'll just make it and just like, hey, here's the lowball offer. And you're just thinking like, why would you make that such a low offer? And you say no to, but they make it because sometimes it works. They're making it unattached. They're just sending it over. And if they don't get it, it's a numbers game for them. They'll eventually get one. Now, I'm not telling you to freaking super lowball everything, but you're going to find situations where you're going to love the house, but the value is just not quite where it needs to. And you're going to make that offer closer to value. And the seller might get offended or insulted. Don't let it affect you. You say, great, you move on. Just because they didn't accept your offer doesn't mean they're not willing to accept that offer. There just means at this point of time, they're not willing to accept that offer. So maybe they get super lucky and they get a buyer who doesn't do as well research, or they just blindly follow their realtor and they end up selling it at list price. If they get lucky, good for them. But you're not in the game of, hey, I'm here to buy my dream house at whatever price the seller wants. You're trying to protect you, your family, or just you and yourself's assets. Like, you're buying a house, and yes, it's not the best time to invest in a house, but it's always, are you going to be a renter or are you going to be an owner? You're going to be an owner, but just because that's the decision you made doesn't mean you have to go and get yourself in a situation where you're going to be underwater. So here's what you do. You say, be courteous. All right, thank you. I appreciate your time. We'll circle back in about a week or two, and we'll touch base then. Come back a week later, come back 2 weeks later, have your agent call and just say, hey, do you guys have any offers on the table? Yes, no. If they haven't, then make that offer again. And then if it still doesn't work, if they end up selling it, good for them. But, you know, come back around 2 weeks, see if they're willing to work with you. I've had this happen so many times. By the second or third time around, they either accept it, or sometimes they even freaking call you and they say, hey, are you still willing to work with us? And you get the offer accepted there. Sometimes sellers, they're just in the honeymoon phase. As soon as they list the house, they think that cash offer at list price is going to come in any moment, or above list price. And then when they get hit with reality, the more time that passes on them on the market, the more realistic they get. I don't like using the word desperate. They just get more in touch with reality. And then they realize, oh gosh, my house is probably not worth as much as I thought. Let's lower it. So really, this is the biggest problem that this housing market has, is the owners, sellers who are not in touch with reality. They're still trying to sell it above list price or above market value, when in reality, this market is supporting buyers who are buying below market value. Or if they are paying market value for a house, they're getting a crap load of concessions. We're talking 3, 4, 5% concessions, massive interest rate buy down, massive 2-1 buy downs, all kinds of crazy stuff. But they're only doing that because they can get list price. But there's situations out there, folks, you just have to look for them, where you might be able to get it below this price, and on top of that, get some extra closing costs. I've got some buyers here doing it in the Phoenix, Arizona area. So if we can do it here, odds are you're probably doing it in your part of your neck of the woods. So if you guys have any questions for me, you can always email me here at contact@javiervidana.com. If you're looking for any home buyer resources, I got some good ones here. Only for $5, you can get my whole suite of different home buyer resources. I appreciate everybody who went on there and gave me some 5-star reviews. I've gotten like a few hundred purchases on it. Just if you guys don't mind, if you do end up getting it, give me a 5-star review. It helps me because I'm switched over to this new platform, so it definitely helps. If you're looking for an agent anywhere in the country, go ahead and check out homeandmoney.com/Javier. Click it. Fill out your information, get connected with a great agent. And if you're looking in the Phoenix, Arizona area, check me out. Give me a holler. Schedule your appointment. Reach out to me. I'm available to answer any questions or do any kind of market analysis for you. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time. Hope you guys have a blessed day, and make sure not to overpay for houses out there.